So, today we're really going to be doing 8-5. Today's the 5th for those of you playing at home. But here on our opening slide, you can see some review of solving equations really basically using those inverse operations. Yeah, we're going to be doing 8-5, but we did not finish 8-4 yesterday. So we made it... Or no, we did, didn't we? Did we do the invitations?
Yeah.
Okay, the other class did, so you're fine. So, 8-5. You don't want to pass these out? Whoever gets yours. Or we can split them. So when we get into the problem solving, and what you're going to notice about your homework, it's a lot more word problems. And a lot of us, and I don't know why this has happened, but a lot of us don't like word problems immediately. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because we don't like reading, which I don't think can be true because most of us are okay at reading. We're decent. I don't know if it's that you don't like the analyzation of it or what, but there's a few techniques that we can use to make this a lot easier. And I really encourage you as we move forward, and especially as we get to the time of the year that we're going to be taking those standardized tests, use these strategies to make these problems easier. Now, one thing that kind of stinks, in Schoology, there's no highlighter option. You can't highlight on the screen. But when we have them on paper in front of us, we want to be highlighting and identifying those important parts. If you don't have a highlighter on your desk yet, grab one off my resource table. We're looking at this diagram that explains this word problem. Because when we see a word problem, there's a lot going on. Right, Flynn? Right? Any idea what I said?
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's focus up here. Otherwise, one of you guys might need to move in that little cluster. But if you guys can handle it, you're fine. So when we look at a word problem, we want to highlight what's important, break it apart, and a lot of times drawing a picture will help me visualize it. So here in this word problem in the intro, what do you think is important? Bella, if you had to identify one important thing, what would you highlight? Yeah, the 5 samples, right? They're shipping 5 samples to a client. Justin, what else would you highlight?
47 ounces.
Yeah, so the total, we want to recognize this total is 47 ounces. And this is I don't have to highlight the whole thing. If I have it the same color, then my brain will say, oh, total is 47 ounces. Andrew, what else?
And then you have a separate box that weighs 8 ounces.
The box that ships them is 8 ounces before it's packed. So that might be beneficial so that you know that's the empty weight. So then if we draw a picture for this, we could draw 5 samples, whatever shape you would make, and we just make little boxes. And the weight of the box, because we have to look at what makes the total weight. I've got a box with the samples in it, and that will make the total weight. So this is where I use that weird little symbol where I do this. But we know that our total weight is 47. We know that these 5 samples all have a same weight that we can use some variable for. And we know the box itself weighs 8. What could I do to essentially chop off that section? What could I do to chop off this section to the right of the red line? Andrew?
You could just subtract 8 from 47 and 8 from the
Yeah. To chop this section off, I have to get rid of 8. So if I get rid of 8 up here, what would this small section be equal to?
It would be equal to 39.
39. I'm actually going to write that below. So hopefully you guys are doing some drawing on your paper, whatever drawing works for you. But we now see that this will equal 39. Now, if I want to look at only the weight of one sample, because I'm trying to solve for what does G equal, what would I need to do with this green space to only look at 1G? Go ahead, Andrew. So to do this visually, by the way, if no one's ever told you this, to make 5 spaces, you want 4 lines. To make 10 spaces, you want 9 lines. So notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has 4 lines splitting it up. So we would split with 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. But I would have to do that with my 39. I can't really, like, slice it.
38.
So what do I do then? Mathematically, that is
Divide by 5.
division. So we divide by 5 and see that that is going to be, I believe, or no, 7.8, I think? Yeah. Sorry, it was 4/5 in my head for some reason I made that point for. And that will be ounces. Any questions
2 days
on
ago.
what we did? All we did here, guys, is the same process that we've been doing. Just we did it visually. Jean, did you get your notebook back yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Sorry, I knew it had your name on it, so I knew it was yours, but I didn't know where you were, so I couldn't really like. So I want you guys to try to make a diagram for this, and you don't have to use this whole box. Actually, I would prefer that you don't. I would like draw a line across that will let you break it up. We want to model what is it that goes into, like what all are we buying, and what total will that equal. So try this on your own for a second. I'll give you maybe about a minute because I don't want you to do too much work. Try this on your own. Well, I don't want you to get too far ahead of me.
But break it in half.
So just because this box is really tall, so like how they have up here that 47 equals what's in this box, we want our total to be here equal to the parts that I buy. You can use the whole box if you want. It's just really big. So, I mean, if that's confusing you, I can use the whole box. It's just tall sections. Because I'm crazy.
I think I'm crazy.
Abby,
Oh.
what different things are we purchasing here?
You're buying a software for you and your friend.
So we're buying some software, and what else?
And packaging costs. Aren't you paying for the
So we have the software package and
the gameplay?
yeah, like the subscription, right? Like who has Xbox Live? You pay a monthly subscription, right?
Sam, do you pay
Not anymore.
Not for what? Sam,
What do you pay monthly subscriptions for? What for what? Gold? Okay, so if you have Xbox Gold, I don't have an Xbox. But yeah, so if you pay a monthly subscription, you sometimes pay ahead of time. And you say, I want 10 months of gameplay, or I want a year of gameplay. Or you pay each month at a time. These guys, you pay 3 months in advance, and your friend pays 2 months in advance. So we now got a setup that this all together costs $115. So our $115 would go up here as our total cost. Then, and if you split your box like I had drawn, because I really don't want to make them that tall. We know that we're buying software and gameplay. So since there's 5 months of gameplay and only 2 software packages, now is it, wait, so months of gameplay, I don't know what that costs. Do I know anything else about the software packages? Each one is $20. So these software packages, 2 of them at $20 a piece, that's really $40. So the first thing we can do in here is just say, okay, we spent $40 on the software. And then, how many months of gameplay? Abby?
So is it, one of them is 3 and one of them is
One's 3, one of them is 2, so how many total?
5.
5. So our gameplay has 5 of their, actually let's make that, I'm going to do month, like M for month, the monthly fee. Because what we're trying to solve for is what is the monthly subscription cost? What should we do first, Miss Benson? Think about if like this is an equation. What this represents, if you want to write off to the side, all this represents is 40 plus 5m equals 115. That's what we've modeled right now. We've got a $40 in our software. We've got 5 months of gameplay, but we don't know what the months cost. We know in total it equals 115. So the first thing that you would do here is what? If we were over here, what would be the first thing that we undo? Slow yourself down. What's the first thing we undo? Don't think about this problem specifically. In general, when solving equations. CJ? Well, so that's our end goal, is try to get the n by itself, right? But what do we do first to work towards that? Dave? Sorry, say that again. Yeah, we want to undo any addition or subtraction. But guys, I set this up like this on purpose for a reason. What is it that we want to subtract? Justin? The 40. A lot of people will right here make the mistake and they'll say, oh, the 5 is after the addition. That's what I want to subtract. But that is not at all true. And yes, I know those are backwards and I'm doing that on purpose because that pen is goofed up. If I were to try to take away the 5, that 5 is not added. That 5 is being multiplied. What's being added is the 40. What you don't notice is there's a plus sign in front of it. We just don't write it. So what we need to do is take away the 40 on both sides, which if I do that over here in my bar diagram, take away the 40,
Oh, yay.
take away 40, and what is that going to leave you equal to? Right, so 5m, but what's left from the total that you did have? If we subtract the 40 away from it, yeah? $75. Now, to my 5m, to look at just one of them, I can slice it into 5 pieces. So now each of these pieces will be M, 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 and M. Sorry, those M's kind of look. And here I would then do the same, divide by 5, and we get $15 per month. If I step over here and do the same thing, this would give me 5M equals 75. I divide by 5, and I get that M is 15. Any questions on what we did? You do not have to use a diagram. I will not make you do this on the test. This is just another option for how we can solve math problems. Draw a picture with it, and then manipulate the picture until you get what you want. If you can't win the game, change the rules. Any questions? My buddy Dave, who I talk about a lot, just got a new game called Red 7. You know how to play that? So, the point of the game is if you can't win at the end of the round, you change the rules to make that you're winning. Like, before it's not your turn, you have to be winning. Otherwise, you're out of the game.
There was like a movie that my dad likes, and it's like Red 7 Hot Route. So
Oh, that's
whenever
different.
we're in the car, he yells at all the time.
So,
I'm like, Dad,
try this with like whoever's close to you or on your own if you want. This is like an exact problem from the real world. My buddy Dave, who just moved, just bought a house, just did this. U-Haul. Anyone ever rent a U-Haul to move or anything like that? You ever talk to your parents about like how much we can use the U-Haul?
Yes.
And like have a story related to this? Anything? No.
My
So-
mom moved to West Virginia.
Huh?
When I was little, I thought that was called.
Oh, that's funny. So here's how renting a truck works. I go to U-Haul and I say I need to rent a truck. They're like, great. We have trucks for you to rent. Give us some money to rent the truck. I'm like, all right, sweet. Here's some money. In this situation, that some money is $39.95. But then they say, oh yeah, every mile that you drive, because there's an odometer, the thing that keeps track of your miles on your car, we are going to charge you for. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I get it. I'm driving your vehicle. You're going to charge me for it. They charge 99 cents per mile. And then they say, oh yeah, by the way, before you bring the truck back, guys, I'm not making this up. This is like real how this works. You got to fill it up with gas. Because if we gave you the truck full of gas, you got to give it back to us full of gas. So when we do that, that costs $65.32. Everything all together when we're all said and done and the truck is back at U-Haul. I owe them, it depends on how far you drive, I owe them $164.67. That's everything all together. I want you guys to start trying to solve this. I'm going to need just a couple minutes. I'm going to write a couple things up here, but not very much.
Should we highlight the total cost too?
Yeah, if you want.
I'm gonna do that.
I wrote cursive. My fees looks like E's.
I always used to write backwards. And I was looking at it and I write my name upside down. And that's the first one.
If you are struggling, look up at the board and think. How to set this up. We'll give you another minute. If you don't even know where to start, just write down what I have.
I usually do it.
So you can fill them out whenever you decide to.
Yeah, grade school 6, I was thinking after school I was going to
The videos are posted on YouTube and Twitter. And one thing we talked about is kind of starting in this chapter. I'll be a little bit further in this chapter. We had other notes for the Megan dude. This guy keeps coming back. So check, like, don't worry. If you have these, just stick them back in my book. But so one thing we talked about that this chapter I'm going to be forgetting on, but next chapter really starts at full force. When you guys take your masteries, I'm going to be collecting your notes. Just make sure you're staying organized, you're taking notes, and highlighting and things like that. So just know that as we move forward, you're going to be taking notes. All right, so we have the struck, the mileages, and the gases. So I'm trying to make a joke with the dollar signs. So the struck, the money from the truck. What was that? $39.95, right? They would probably actually just charge you $40, but because this problem wanted to be difficult, we have $39.95. Xavier, my mileage fee. How do I figure that out? I agree, but you're a step ahead of me. So when we look at just looking at the mileage fees, Justin?
Mileage, you have to do 99 cents, and the M for the
So it's 99 cents times however far you drive. We don't know that, so we just do times M. And then my gas cost, so I have to make it another G, and exactly what Xavier said, this is a constant value. This is a constant value. We can combine them. That equals
Wow.
So we do that, we get 90, 104, 105, 105.27. Scoot over. Now again, be careful. Izzy, what do I want to do first here to work towards getting M by itself? Yeah. So sorry, I went back and highlighted this so you can identify these green values added to get this green value. But then Izzy tells us we want to get rid of that constant value because it's positive. We subtract it. Now what I'm going to have left here is only my mileage fee. So I get that 99 cents times the amount of miles I drive is going to be equal to, well, I don't know, is that what, is it 60? 59 what? So, if we were approximating, a lot of math you end up approximating. I won't farce you and tell you that the real world uses exact terms. A lot of times we approximate. Approximately, what's it cost per mile?
$59.
Listen to what I'm asking. Approximately, what's it cost per mile? $1. If my mileage fee's $59, how many miles do you think I approximately drove? Yeah, like 60, right? So when I do this division, and I get my exact value, what is it? Is it exactly 60? Yeah, so it does come out to perfectly. Now, it will not always do this. It will not always come out perfect, but if we just approximate it, it's like $1 a mile. This is like $40 for the truck. Like, we could approximate some of these values and still get very, very close to the right answer. Now, here's the other deal, though. I like to teach you guys about life, not just math. You don't have to rent from U-Haul. So here's the funny situation that happened with me. I was trying to find a truck to rent. So I was looking online. Apparently, I need to reorient this. I was looking online at the U-Haul site. And so we talked about digital safety this morning, right? About like how what you do on the internet leaves a digital footprint. Here's what's really scary. Online, on a U-Haul site, checking their prices, whatever. I don't even know how this happened. I bet I could go back and figure this out. Somehow, they got my email. Or, like, no, not U-Haul, Penske. So I had put my info into the U-Haul website. Somehow, from the U-Haul website, Penske, which is another truck company, emails me out of nowhere. Hey, Mr. Hudson, we saw you're looking for a truck to rent. Any chance that we can, earn your business? Somehow, they found out I was looking for trucks. So I called Penske. Said, all right, so you're kind of creepy, but beat their price to beat U-Haul. Here's what they did. Said, we can't really beat the price on the truck. What we can do for you is get rid of your mileage fee. So for me, moving, having to go to Coshocton and get a baby grand piano and bring that beast back over here, that was about 140 miles to go to Coshocton and back. That would have been $140 that I didn't have to pay. So they got my business. So you can always play like competitive companies against each other. You do not have to like.
Don't stalk me next time.
Well, I mean, I'm okay with the fact that they did because it got me a better price. Like, I don't know how they got my email. I probably entered it into U-Haul, and then U-Haul populates some data or something. Like, but somehow they stole my info and they stole my business, and I've not rented another U-Haul since then. I've always gone through Penske.
Maybe it's just the same company, different name.
It is not. Because I have like a guy that I now work with at Penske. His name's Nick. And they won't even, I don't know if it's company policy, but they won't even say U-Haul. They say that other company. So, like, when I was on the phone with him, he said, yeah, we're really, like, we'll do whatever we can to get your business from that other company. Like, they won't say U-Haul.
Because it's like,
It might be, like, in their policy to not talk bad about other people.
There's some-
So, in science, and this is why, like, America kind of annoys me sometimes. I've talked about the Treaty of the Meter, right? How we did not switch the metric system.
oh yeah.
One of the other things that came out of that is we stayed on a system of temperature that makes absolutely no sense. You only think it makes sense because you grew up with it. Let's think about a thermometer that's marked with both Fahrenheit and Celsius. So actually, off to the side, do you have space on the left margin? Do you have any space? No, that's really close. Go off to the right, as far over to the right as you can. Draw a little thermometer. I mean, then, yeah, then grab a sticky note. So, and there would be like, you know, it'd be at some temperature. If it's, actually, let's label these. Let's do Celsius on the left side and Fahrenheit on the right side. If it's freezing, what temperature is it in America that we talk about? 32 degrees, right? So let's make that right here on my second line up. Because we can be below freezing. We have temperatures below freezing. We have a lot of temperatures below freezing. In Celsius, what's freezing anyway? 0! Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? 0 degrees is where stuff stops moving. It freezes. This is where it makes me really mad. Celsius, what's boiling? 100. You've reached 100%. Your water is boiling. If you're not at 100, you're not at 100%. Sorry about it. Once you go over 100, it becomes steam. It disappears. It's no longer water. What's boiling for Fahrenheit?
Yeah,
And you say that with a question mark. Because you're not even...
know.
It's 212, but it's ridiculous that we... Like, what? 212? What a weird number. 32? Who chose that? What's the distance between these? So the 2's will cancel each other out. Then, if I had 210 minus 30, I'd end up with 180 degrees between here. Here, there's 100 degrees between here. So here's mathematically where this gets weird. This amount of space between freezing and boiling is the same, right? It's the same amount of temperature. It's the same amount of space. But we have two different number systems to represent that. That's like saying feet and centimeters, guys. This space is the same, well, except it's broken. But this space is the same, right? Do we agree that this is a foot? Do you also agree that it's 30 centimeters?
Sure.
But it's the same space. So that's what we're talking about here. This is where this equation comes into play. If I'm in America and I have the Fahrenheit temperature, we know what the temperature is in Fahrenheit, and we're looking to get the Celsius. This is my formula that I would use. But what if we had the Celsius and we wanted Fahrenheit by itself? So what we need to do here is work this to get the Fahrenheit by itself. I'm going to capture my little thermometer, clear this off, and let's do some work. If we start, I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit more, hopefully. If we start with our initial formula, everyone on your paper write C equals, hey, leave a little bit of space before you start writing the 5/9. So leave a gap times F minus 32. What do we do to get rid of a fraction multiplier? So we have 5/9 trying to multiply into those terms. Abby, what do we do?
42. Could you make it? Didn't you cancel it out?
How? I agree. We want to cancel it out.
What you would do is when you divide it by the reciprocal.
Ooh, not divide by the reciprocal.
Multiply.
Multiply by the reciprocal. So on both sides, we are going to multiply by 9/5. That will delete my 5/9, but I over here also have to multiply by 9/5. We'll now get 9/5 C on the left-hand side equals just F minus 32. And Atticus, the last thing I need to do to get my F by itself there is get rid of what? What else is with the F? Well, the minus 32, how do we get rid of that? What's the opposite of subtraction? So we want to add 32 to both sides. Hey guys, those of you that like to whisper the answer when somebody else is thinking, that's really rude. Like that's the most rude thing that you can do when someone's thinking, because you're essentially telling them you're not smart enough to get this on your own. So those few of you around the classroom that like to do that, knock it off. I love that you know the answer. I need everybody to know the answer. So we now have two conversion formulas. Fahrenheit over here you want to write. Fahrenheit temperature equals 9/5 the Celsius temperature plus 32. 9/5 your Celsius plus. Now, why the plus 32? Why do you think this happens? Look at freezing. At that freezing point, if Celsius was 0, Fahrenheit needs to be 32. That's why we have to do that compensation.
So, wouldn't 9/5 Celsius, would that be the point where, so that's the point where it's freezing?
So let's, what if it was 32 degrees Celsius? So not 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius. So you don't even need to write anything down. All we would do is plug in, if it's 32 degrees Celsius, do 9/5 times 32, so who's got a calculator? Parentheses 9 divided by 5, and then close your parentheses. Parentheses 9 divided by 5, and close your parentheses. Then 32, because it'll multiply. Hit enter.
57.
Then we still have to add the 32. So 32 degrees Celsius is almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So if anybody ever says it's 20 degrees or 30, always ask them degrees what?
Yeah.
Because saying it's 32 degrees outside, well, that could mean it's freezing, like it is right now, or it could mean it's darn hot and we're going to the pool. 32 degrees means two very different things, depending on which scale. CJ.
When I was in Europe, they told us it was 30 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I put on my sweater and stuff when I got there. I was like, it's not 30 degrees.
It was 30 degrees Celsius, which is probably, were you there in the summer? Yeah, it was mid-80s. 30 degrees would be mid-80s in Fahrenheit,
Next time
which is
you
really
go to
comfortable
Europe,
if you're
say
not in a sweater and everything.
Celsius or Fahrenheit. You got it.
Well, the thing is, over there, everything they do is metric. There's no, if you ask somebody, oh, are you talking in Fahrenheit? They would laugh at you. Because they don't use Fahrenheit. They don't use feet. They don't use miles. Nobody else does, except for America. Because we wanted to be special.
Because we are special. No, we're not. King.
Questions? Okay, go.
So in Norway, they had a hot tub and a cold pool.
Yeah,
And it was so confusing.
it's good for your muscles.
Yeah, it was freezing though. But it was so confusing because I think the hot tub was the cold pool was 12 degrees, and I was like, what? I was like, we're all gonna freeze. They're like, what are you talking
So you had
about?
12 degrees Celsius.
It was
Would have been,
cold out, and it was an outdoor, and both of them were outside, looking down at the mountain.
would have been 53 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really, that's cold water. for water. So 12 degrees Celsius, what that cold pool in Norway was about 53, 54 degrees. Guys, normally when you go swimming, that water's at least in the 60s. Yeah, it's a comfortable pool will be 71 degrees. That's a comfortable temperature to swim in.
And then the hot tub was like freezing in Fahrenheit.
Right, so like 32 degrees Celsius is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's hot. If you go to like 34, you go above 100. Like you get, because 1 degree Celsius is more than a degree Fahrenheit. It's almost 2. 1 degree Celsius is almost 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Kind of. But Celsius, they use decimals. So we don't use decimals in our temperatures. They will say it's like 32.4. Because their system has less numbers, they can use the decimals. And the decimals make sense because it's a base 100 system. Their system goes from 0 to 100. Ours goes from 32 to 212.
What if it's below, like negative blank degrees?
They just use negative. I mean, it could be like negative 8 degrees. So like, if they told you that it was negative 8 degrees Celsius outside, which, I mean, it happens negative, as soon as it's below freezing, it's negative, right? So that would be still 17.6 degrees Celsius, or Fahrenheit. So it's still above 0 Fahrenheit, but it's below 0 Celsius.
You would do like 9 divided by 5 plus 12? Or?
Now, 9 divided by 5 times whatever your Fahrenheit temp is, or times whatever your Celsius temp is, then you add the 32. Or you have to do the multiplication before you do the addition. Let's do one more. We got a little bit of time. Let's talk about our dirt formula some more. What is our dirt formula representing? Why do we use this? Hey, excuse me. Hey, do you remember why we use the dirt formula? This D equals RT. Xavier? I need everybody on the top of their paper because the more you write it, the better you remember it. Distance equals rate times time. So, when we look at what we know about Magellan, this is real, spacecraft Magellan, it had a 463-day flight. It traveled 806 million miles. So when we set up our dirt formula, we have D equals RT. What do we know to be able to fill in for? Dustin?
Alright, so the distance we have is 806 million.
It's 806 million, so that needs 6 zeros after it.
We don't have its rate.
We don't know the rate.
It was 463 days.
Here's the part you got to pay attention to. Your rate will solve with the units from your other two numbers. So when our rate solves, it'll use days and it'll use miles. So it will be miles per day. Instead of miles per hour or miles per minute, it's going to be miles per day. So to get the R by itself, Joe, what do we want to do here? Yeah, this is multiplied, so we want to divide by 463. This is pretty ridiculous. Even though it's per day, what's 806 million divided by 463?
I got it. Well, okay, big number, everybody. 1740820. 734.
Hold on, so this is 1,740,000 to...
2, and then it was like 2, 0, and then it was and 700.
Let me see. I feel like our...
It's like really big.
Oh, 820. I didn't get the 8. So it's 1,740,820 miles per day.
Oh,
dang.
You divide that by 24.
If we divide that by 24, Justin just is taking us the next step. If we divide by 24, that's going to give us miles per hour, which is still, what is it?
72,534.1976.
Guys. 72,000 miles an hour. You can drive 72 miles an hour on the highway. Multiply that by 1,000. Have a great day. Don't break the speed limit. I don't, even in a Bugatti, I don't think you can break 72,000 miles per hour.